Welcome to the PingPod, the Ping Pong podcast by Ping Skills. We're back here with Alois, who, as you've seen, is a Hall of Fame member at the Coburg Table Tennis Club.
Yes, Jeffrey. Thank you for organising all of that.
No worries. So I think we were beginning when we surprised you in our last PingPod to talk about the AWD program,
Yep,
the Athletes
that's right.
with Disability program, and you were just explaining about the different categories of athletes.
The classes. Yeah, so there's 11 classes. So classes 1 to 5 are for wheelchair players, and classes 6 to 10 are for standing players, and then class 11 is for athletes with an intellectual disability.
Okay.
So, so class 1 is the lowest functioning, so they have the most difficulty, and it's the same with class 6 in the standing. They have the most level of disability. So,
okay. So, is there much contention about the grading of classes?
There's always a few contentious issues because it's difficult for them to work out exactly which class you're going to be in, and that makes a big difference because if you're a class 6 and playing in a class 7, it makes a big difference with your mobility and that sort of thing as well. So we just had an incident up in Darwin where we just were with the classification of one of our athletes, and he wasn't actually classified, so they felt that he didn't have the minimum level of disability, which was very contentious.
So was he not allowed to play?
So he wasn't allowed to play. Yep. So he had received a provisional classification, but when he was classified by the international classifiers, they ruled that he wasn't eligible. And he's got a fairly obvious disability, but their argument was that it didn't meet the minimum disability requirements.
Okay, yeah, so you can see it's quite a controversial topic.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, so recently you were, as you just mentioned, up in Darwin. There was the Arafura Games. Can you tell us a bit about the Arafura Games?
Yeah, Arafura Games is an interesting event. It's a multi-sport event, so there's a whole lot of different sports up there, and it's mainly countries from that Arafura region. So it's the north of Australia, places like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, so the Southeast Asian countries as well. New Zealand was there. So yeah, it's a really interesting and quite a fun event.
And it's not just an AWD event, is it?
The table tennis has an able-body competition, and they also have an AWD, Athletes with Disability event. So there's 2 different events running at the same time. Okay. Some of the sports just have an able-body event, and some have both. Okay.
So you're working with some of the AWD athletes?
Yeah, so I work as the assistant coach of the program. It's what we call the PPP, so another acronym.
Another acronym. I love them. What does that stand for?
The Paralympic Preparation Program.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm the assistant coach with that, and I work on a weekly basis with the players right here at Coburg. So that's all the Victorian-based players, and then we also have a camps program. So there's 4 camps during the year where all the players nationally get together and come in for a weekend training camp.
So how is Australia's PPP program coming along?
It's come on in leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. I mean, just firstly is just the funding that they've received through the APC.
The APC?
The Australian Paralympic Committee.
Very good.
So through them, we've received a lot of funding that's enabled us to run more regular training and also assist the athletes in a whole lot of different areas, strength and conditioning and things as well. So.
Okay, very good. So what are some of the differences you notice coaching able-bodied people to athletes with disabilities?
Yep. I think that's a really interesting question. I think it's really surprising how few differences there are. I find the best way to approach it is that you see what the players can do and then you go from there, because a lot of the players in the PPP have fantastic skills and a lot of skills that you can work with. If you go into it approaching it in the way that I'm not sure what they can do and how much you should push them, my philosophy now, I suppose, is push them as hard as you can and then see what they can do. They'll soon tell you what they can and can't do, because these players have lived with their disabilities, a lot of them, for most of their lives.
Yeah.
So they know their limitations, and they also know how far that they can be pushed.
Yep.
So as a coach, it's for me to just push them and see what they can get out of themselves. Technically, often there's not a lot of differences.
Okay.
There may be a few changes that you make because of their disability with their mobility or something like that, but technically, again, you look at what you'd like it to look like, and then if they can't quite do that because of their disability, then you can alter things slightly.
Modify. Okay.
Yep.
So how do our players rank in the world rankings?
Yep.
In like with the athletes with disability?
Yep.
How do
So we've got one athlete, Melissa Tapper, who's right up there.
Yep.
She's actually won the last 3 international tournaments she's played. So she won in Arafura, and she also won 2 European tournaments in Hungary and Italy. She's in the class 10, which is the highest functioning class as well. So
Yep.
she's an extremely strong athlete.
Yes.
She plays a lot of able-body table tennis for Australia as well.
Yep.
So she recently has beaten the number 2 and 3 players in the world.
Wow.
In Europe, and she hasn't had a chance at the number 1 player from Poland yet, who's a very, very strong player. She made the I know at least the second round. I'm not sure if she got further. I didn't check the results at the last World able-body competition as well.
That's very impressive.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a lot of highly functioning athletes. We've also got another 2 players that are highly world ranked, and then there's a boy, Joel Coughlin, from up in Queensland, who is on the verge of qualifying for the Paralympics as well. So
Excellent. So I think we should look out for those players in 2012.
absolutely. Yep.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for telling us a bit about the program. I think that's interesting, and hope you enjoyed this PingPod. See you later.
Bye. Okay.